Welcome to the Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a coffee, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So, a massive shout of thanks and appreciation to BG, Survive the Spin, FE Patriot, Steve, On the Level, Thomas van der Zander, Gary Hughes, Measured Flat, Chris Wouters, Sensual Goat, Mitch Kennedy, Rod, The Name's Burley, Twadwazzle, Jason Hornsby, Christoph Fournier, Flat Earth Travolta, JMels24, Unamento, Iron26, Endless, Golden McKiernan, Retro Bill, Level Plain Poem, Michael Kahn, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Mel B. Styles, Hairy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Rob W, Del West Watson, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Texas Mike, Chow Yun Cat, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Links to Patreon are in the info box below this video. And with that, I'll hand across to whoever is in Discord and G+, so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
Or was there some other drama?
Yeah,
Okie dokie.
it's like an ongoing address of all the nonsense.
Never ending nonsense from Witsit. How much longer are we gonna entertain ourselves with this?
Kiwi wants to go through it word by word, and I don't blame him.
Boy, was Betty defending him yesterday. What's going on with Betty? She wants everybody to love each other and kumbaya, even if they're lying.
You'll have to ask Betty.
What was Betty saying? You know, how was she defending?
It'd be nice to entertain the idea that we don't even have to deal with like agents in play and like agenda, but we do. And at least we're going through it like piece by piece.
Yeah. Just in my opinion, I think Witsit is genuine as far as his beliefs and his bullshit. But Jaron, on the other hand, he's a weirdo, man. I think we should pay a little attention to what Jaron is saying. But there's a Journal of Geocentric Cosmology. It looks like a Dave Weiss 2.0. The new app is coming. Firmament Trackers. November 9th. Live with developer. Nathan, if you're interested, I'm gonna put this in between the Skype right now.
Okay.
I saw the vid. It's about 10 minutes long. I don't know if it's worth the review, but same thing like Dave Weiss, man. This guy's making an app tracking the sun, moon, and stars.
Introducing senior developer and flat earth researcher, Stephen Alonso. Stephen is an innovative computer scientist and the lead developer of the Firmament Trackers Flat Earth app. Known for his groundbreaking work in both academia and technology, integrating multiple observers into flat earth software, a feature unmatched by globe-based models.
Thank you.
What is this?
It's just some dude, man, making a flat earth app. Dave Weiss 2.0.
Okay. We'll cover this then. Intrigued.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to do that or there's 4 other vids that I just posted this morning. It's all just a bunch of nonsense, man. But hey, that's what we're dealing with. So
Yeah, we'll stick with this. Firmament Trackers. Okay. Yeah, cool. Free? Says his app's free.
Yeah, he said it was gonna be free. Yeah. Man, I gotta turn on these sounds. It's fucking annoying. Well, it was a long show yesterday, but nobody wants to tell me what happened. But anyway, I don't know if you guys know about Zetetic Warrior. I don't know who that fella is, but he posted a video yesterday, 5 hour video about pretty much mostly about Jaren. And supposedly Jaren is catching a lot of heat from a lot of people. Supposedly he lost tons of subscribers, and I did hear him claim that if we go down there, yes, down there, and if we see a 24-hour sun, the Earth is not flat.
Yeah,
And
somebody came in yesterday and was saying the same thing. Came into All Busters. Yep. That hey, listen, he's being exposed to what he is.
yep. While Witzel, on the other hand, he did say it doesn't change anything, blah, blah, blah. Water still remains flat.
Well, he's got to keep his little grift going. Yeah, somebody came in there saying Whitson is a pioneer of flat Earth, and we just hate him for no reason. Something to that effect.
Yesterday, nobody wants to call a shill. Nobody wants to call someone a liar. Nobody wants to notice it. You know what I mean? But you do. And when there's receipts, there's receipts. And people are having feelings about Witsit because even like you can tell I think we're right on the narrative of like he obviously pretty much had the idea that like, oh, we can go down this road and get somewhere with it, but it turns out to be a dead end. He keeps going, and he keeps playing like we should just be as supportive, as brainwashed, as uh lemming like as we can be. And that's not an indictment on anything really, but what we're dealing with. But also on the other side, there are people who have feelings about this person because this person did teach them things. And it makes sense.
Yeah, but if he taught them things, that's what we were trying to tell this guy. Huey asked him, give me one flat Earth proof that you got from Winston. You know what he says? Radar and freaking something else. I forgot what, a microwave or whatever. And he tried to put it into like it was scientifically validated. Yeah.
Like
You
I
know how they
said out
come
loud,
in.
I
Like,
said,
listen, I'm
I
a
can
flat
show.
earther. And listen to this.
My
Oh,
bad. No, you go ahead, man.
I got an ambulance going. Go ahead.
I was just saying, like, I can show you where levels flat and where gas requires containment. You know what I mean? But you know, how can I steal the idea of nothing and then make something out of it, and then not come back to the problem of what's behind that?
So the only thing to call him a shill, like we would have to know his motive, right? But to call him a liar or even stupid or even double speaking or whatever, that's fair, right? But to call him a shill, like you would have to know the motive behind his BS. So I'll just won't use that word. But yeah, I can easily call him a liar or dummy or double speaker, living, walking, talking contradiction, all that.
Either way, he's a category error.
With what?
Either way, he's trying to go into this physics part where we're just kind of level is flat, and that's how you measure Earth.
You talking about Witsit?
Well, yeah, but like just ether in general. I mean, it it may be handy as an idea, right, somewhere, but we can't.
Well, at the same time, he claimed it's not science.
I didn't even hear you. She was speaking.
What is it? The, the back, no, not the background medium. What did he call it? Substrate, something. But isn't the substrate like substance of the medium? I don't know, man. It's just too wild, too out there, too time consuming and nonsensical. I just like I said, like I feel like a little bad about him because I almost think like he got into this shit never expecting this type of you know, like a reaction from people. So I don't know. I think if he knew that people would forgive him, he would ask for forgiveness and like, like if he would say like, guys, can we like please not talk about this ever again? I was talking nonsense, can we move past this? If everybody was like, okay, let's move on, I think he would definitely move on. You can tell from his voice, man, like he's hurt, and like right now it's just a backfire cognitive bias, like he's fighting back because he doesn't want to whatever give up. But I don't know, man. As a person, I have to say I do feel a little bad for him, because you can tell in his voice he's not feeling well these days. But then again, when you hear him talk all this nonsense, like, dude, man, just stop, man. Like, I don't know. It is what it is, man. Life goes on. I think we should pay a little more attention to Jaren because the dude also has a huge audience. Even though he's losing a lot of people, still has a huge audience, and people need to see what's going on. He needs to be exposed a little more.
When I first started, I used to say things like, because I thought they were true, I like, and true, even if they are true enough still, they're not completely correct, right? Like I used to say, the stars move, east to west or whatever, at 15 degrees an hour. That's not completely correct, is it? No, but I used to say that. I don't say that so much anymore. Why? Because, I learned. So I'm saying it's on him.
Nathan.
App. Are you asking or
They broke up. Say again.
what price of Adam? Posted a question in Discord. You know who made the app? Are you actually asking or you know who made it? So
Yeah, I was asking.
the name of the dude? I don't know. His name is Steven, I guess. But I'm looking at these other vids that Nathan, they also on Skype. I just think this might be another AI video, even though it has a real person's voice in there.
I think I looked at that earlier. Is that Flat Earth debunked in the
Yeah,
thumbnail? Yeah, I
debunked
listened to it, and it's I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd rather do
But
the
it's a
other one
brand.
you suggested with this app. I'm intrigued. Someone's already putting laughy faces. TM, who's TM? Putting laughy faces on it.
Mhm.
In the Skype chat, TM has put a laughy face
Oh.
emoji on it.
Oh, that's Viking. I see Viking.
Okay. Well, someone's obviously
That's
watched
Viking.
it. I don't know what it's. You said you'd watched it all the way through, right?
The one with AI, yeah, I think that might be a little better
No.
video, even though.
No. The one about the app, firmament tracker.
Oh yeah, yep, I watched it.
Why would he put a
Well, like,
laughy face emoji? Oh, I suppose we'll find out in 3 minutes.
so Viking put a laughing emoji. It says TM for you.
Yeah.
Huh? That's Viking for me. Nathan, did you have a like? Was there a problem with Viking? Did you kick him off Skype once?
No,
Was there an issue with Viking?
not that I know.
I don't know.
Of.
I don't know. I think
No,
you might have kicked him off Skype one time, and
no, I don't think so.
yeah, he's the guy who makes like a lot of these diagrams about celestial navigation and elevation angles, and you know who that is, right? But I never heard him speak. Like he's never. He was in Discord for quite a few months, super active in text chat and everything, but like I never heard him speak. He's in 24/7 too. I guess him and Shane, is it Shane Klein? I forgot his last name. But they're supposedly making, I don't know if you want to call it a model, flat earth model. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. I haven't heard anything from Brian yet. Hello, Brian. Here unusually early. Not heard a peep out of him. Maybe he just joined because he likes having his icon on the live show. We'll find out later, I guess. We've typically done housekeeping for such a long time, right? And in the last 12 months, we've had several arguments that have come to the forefront of our discussions. And for whatever reason, that's pushed the general housekeeping questions to the back burner temporarily, right? And I'm not saying we shouldn't continue through 2024 telling people in the flat earth side that they should move forward on the front foot. That's absolutely going to remain my rhetoric, until something else comes along. But several things have come along. That's kind of the point. The pitch data has come along, and the Osborne Firefinder has come along. So we've got a couple more flat earth proofs that have got practical application, way beyond anything that's been presented previously. So there's quite a few things that don't necessarily mean they're going to make it to housekeeping questions, but it's one of those things that it's nice to keep track of, even though housekeeping was keeping track of a debate that we can say, strictly speaking, doesn't exist anymore. We're talking about hard and fast facts when we talk about Earth being measured flat these days. But I still want to keep track of all of the new things so they don't fall by the wayside. I'm not suggesting that we would forget pitch data, but you might, if it's another excellent argument and something else in 12 months comes up, I don't want us to just forget that we've got this in our arsenal now. Do you know what I mean? So therefore, it should be developed into a housekeeping question. And potentially, so should the other points that we're talking about in terms of moving forward on the front foot. There's got to be a way of conveying that message on a regular basis, so that it's not a long, drawn-out disclaimer from me about not having to fight against Earth not being spherical. So, I don't know, I think we've got some work to do in that regard. With that being said, any evidence of the distance to the sun? Any ballers in the Discord channel today?
You'd need a flat Earth to measure to that sun. That much I knew. That much I know.
We had G Platypus in live chat, Ballbusters chat, basically, yesterday. And after the show was done, he was jokingly throughout the live show suggesting that he could question our integrity in terms of our honesty. And after the show had finished, he was like, "No, I like hanging around here. You guys don't strike me the same as Witsit and Jaren and others like them. You don't seem like you're lying. You seem genuine." So I asked him, well, given that that's the case and we're talking about Earth being measured flat, what have you actually got to justify your globe belief? And he offered up an answer in regards to utilisation of flat Earth measurements, linking them together and calling it a ball, and then went on to deny latitude and flat Earth measurements, put them in if statements. I'm like, this guy's lying to himself. That's disingenuous. It's at worst, it's lies. At best, it's disingenuous. And I said to him, you really aren't worthy of being in our company. And if you want to sit around here lying to yourself about utilisation of flat Earth measurements to create a ball that you still believe in, I don't be around those people. They're zealots. And being a nice tempered zealot doesn't change you're a zealot. More than happy to brace against us and put measurements of Earth into if statements when they're cut and dry, hard and fast, measuring Earth flat. But yeah, they need to be denied to retain a globe faith. So, those people are delusional and lying to themselves and frankly not worthy of our company. Do you know what I mean? You were there, Steb Brian.
It's pretty simple.
Hey, Nathan.
Oh, you're back.
Yeah. Look, the platypus is one of the more amenable globers, and we get on well with him. And Kiwi likes him as well, so that likes having them on Kiwi Live. But when it comes to the topic of globe, whatever logic he has goes out the window because he has a belief. You know what I mean? It's no matter who someone is, if they have a belief that and they try to defend their belief with anything in the real world, it goes out the window. You know what I was thinking when you were speaking to him? I was thinking, Jesus, I'm glad Nathan is on my side because it's like what you were saying was true. It's like, how can you hang in with us and hear everything we say, but still go back to that paradigm? It just makes no sense. But it's his choice, whatever he does. But when it like what for me, like I don't see how you could do that.
Well, that's it. There's no introspection going on, so it's difficult to drag it out of him, as I found. He just falls back to type and starts arguing about measurements that are set in stone. You're like, okay, we can do this, but why? You know where this is going to go. You know where this is going to end up. I mean, this was all met with silence and long protracted silences, but you just do kind of think, no, you haven't got enough introspection to answer my questions. I genuinely wanted the answer, right? What is it that's keeping you on the ball? Now, I think when I've in the past assumed that it's societal pressure, I don't know that, and nobody's telling me that. So when you've got somebody who is, yeah, I like hanging around you. Okay, why? Well, because you don't seem like bullshitters. No, we're not. But we're talking about Earth being measured flat. How can you still be on a ball? Without any introspection from him, I can't get the answer, can I? Because he doesn't know. He hasn't got justifiable reason. I mean, that was established pretty quickly by me, but he's just like, well, I need you to look inward and say, what is it keeping me on this nonsense tip of a belief based on something that contradicts it? What's keeping me here? And if it is, no, I see the treatment you get when you accept that Earth is flat, and I'll be ridiculed for it, and I don't want that in society. That's, where I would assume that their brain wanders. But I don't know, and I want to. I want to know what's keeping them there.
Yeah, he couldn't give us. He couldn't give a correct answer. I don't think he was being dishonest. He just couldn't give a correct answer as to why he was hanging around with us at all. I don't think he knows.
No, he said it's because we weren't like people like Toon and Witsit and various others that just seem like bullshitters. And he's like, okay, well, that's a reasonable reason, but you go, okay, but you're a globe believer. What gives? Just explain it to me, break it down. You know what you know. So what keeps you there? I keep going over it. I don't know. I haven't got an answer. Maybe I'm looking at my chat going, maybe someone's going to be giving me an answer from the chat. I don't know.
What keeps me here would be his type, not necessarily his type, any of the type, really. Anybody who would be so ballsy as to deny something like levels flat and gas fill space unless contained.
Yeah, someone like Platypus, it's very confusing to me. I always thought he was a Effie in disguise, almost like he's literally the only Glober who's who actually never irritated me. I gotta be honest, man. Like it's the dude is. I have to say, he sounds smart. He has a good sense of humor, and those are not Glober's traits, man. He likes to
Probably the
hang.
most frustrating part.
What's that?
I said it's probably the most frustrating part is when they're good people or when they seem like they're decent people and smart people,
Yeah, a lot of
but
times.
they just won't let go.
Yeah, that's confusing part, dude. Because a lot of times he always kind of agrees with Huey. A lot of times his assessments are on point. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's his deal, man. And a lot of times, financially supported people on our side with some pretty massive super chats. Yeah, I don't know what to think of Platypus, but he's the only Glober, like literally, who never triggered me in any way. He's kind, you know what I mean? He's not aggressive. It's just confusing, I gotta say.
I've got horrendous toothache and everything's a bit of a blur as a result. Was I really mean to him? Probably. Were you there yesterday?
I wasn't there yesterday.
No, you weren't, Nathan. No, you weren't, Nathan. I was really thankful that you did that. Thank you.
I
Because
can't remember what I did. I remember talking to him.
I'm sorry.
I can't remember what I did. I remember at the end telling him that he disgusts me as a globe believer. So I can't remember if that is just the.
Are you talking about the Witcher sympathizer?
No, we're talking about a guy called
No, yeah.
G. Platypus, and I don't know if you were there or not, Neil. I thought you were.
Oh, I was there. It seems very.
Yeah, and you're immediately breaking up. Someone else, not Neil. As long as I wasn't too brutal with him.
No, I thought you did a good job.
Dude, I was outside my house and all I could hear is you screaming at someone, and I was like, who is he cussing out right now? So I came in here and I still couldn't figure out who you were yelling at because I only caught the end of it, but it sounded kind of brutal, like from a distance.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. I've got a certain amount of bottled disdain for you general typical globe believer, regardless of how soft-tempered they are. And you guys have got more empathy than you're willing to get to know people, like G Platypus and other participants in the Discord server, and assess them. Whereas I'm kind of indifferent. Over a period of time, I might warm to you, but on the whole, I'm not that I don't care. But that's bad in two ways. One, I'm lacking in empathy, but on the other side of it, you think, does that guy deserve to be yelled at? He doesn't know why he's a bull believer. That's all I wanted to get out of him. I didn't. It ends up being him wanting to debate statements of fact, which gets me annoyed and just ends up me calling him a zealot. I do remember exactly what happened now. And he doesn't necessarily need to be on the receiving end of that. Or maybe he does. Maybe hearing it will make him reflect on that. Not that I care, really. But like I say, the only thing I'm disappointed in is I want to know. But people, this is off air, so it's not like I'm doing this for the appeal of the audience. You know, in my mind, I'm thinking, what's stopping you? Is it just because you'll get called a stupid idiot flat earther? I mean, if that is the reason, fair enough. I just want to hear it from him. And I couldn't bear to be a flat earther in society. I'm going to be ridiculed. So therefore, even though I know it's flat, I know it's a ball. Nudge, nudge. That would be a reasonable answer, wouldn't it? But I didn't get that. I'm speculating.
Almost like, how much agreement does it take to get to a disagreement?
Kinda. It's just, yeah. If someone thinks cats are dogs, and you show them a cat and they tell you it's a dog, how many ways can you slice it up and show them in different ways and describe it in different ways, and then get them to agree over and over again and nod along that you're not disguising a dog as a cat, and you eliminate all options that are deceitful or misleading, and you get back to the point where you go, okay, so we're all clear. You understand, I'm not lying to you. This cat is just a cat. And they go, right, yes, got it. You go, so what is it? And they go, dog. And you go, why?
Summed up well, yeah.
But what else is there?
Cats are not dogs.
I want to figure a way, I keep mentioning this, of leaning into the what difference does it make guy. You know, there's certain guys and gals that react to this subject in certain different ways. One of those guys or gals is the what difference does it make? I've still got to go to work tomorrow. Still got to earn a living. Still got to pay the mortgage. Okay. That guy, I want to lean into his attitude. And it doesn't make any difference. Earth's always been flat. We've always dealt with it flat. We still do. We always fly over it flat. We always sail on it flat. All the maps are still flat. Everything's been charted and built on flat. Nothing's going to change because you know how it's actually dealt with in spite of the religion you held. Maybe you'll continue to hold that religion, but Earth is flat. And it doesn't make any difference. Nothing's got to change because it always was. So I kind of want to figure a way of dressing that up in a more digestible elevator speech. Pitch rather. You know what I mean? It's just a way of...
Are cats dogs?
Not with a crude example that only makes sense in the arena when I've prefaced it. You can't do that on an elevator. It's the how do you get a guy that you've never spoken to appreciate that nothing's changed? But what nothing changing means is it was always and is and always will be flat. Can you get that into a elevator pitch? Shout out to the chat. 65 people watching. Please share the show. We have actually got a video to cover at some point. A guy who's made tracking data for objects in the sky. So we'll have a look at that shortly. But hello, everybody in chat. Hello, Christian, Rudolph, Oz, TB, Replica Soul. Who else in there? Price of Adam. You're in our panel. Platypus. Hello, good to see you all. Anybody else I've missed?
Yo.
Good to see you all. Hello. So yeah, whether or not these things turn into housekeeping questions, I don't know. Certainly one of them, at the very least, has made it into a housekeeping question, basically immediately. Any evidence you can have pitch data on a globe?
You need a flat earth for that pitch data.
Pitch data.
It's only up and down from horizontal.
Yeah, pitch data is flat earth.
But Nathan, how would you describe pitch data to somebody who doesn't even know that term? First time hearing it. Let's say what's a pitch data?
How high or low the nose of an aeroplane is with respect to the ground it's flying over. Flat. Horizontal. given in degrees with respect to that
how high
horizontal.
or low the pitch of the airplane's nose is, and actually chord line of the wings, or that's angle of attack, in relation to horizontal. Don't say the surface of Earth in relation to horizontal.
In relation to horizontal. Why
Yeah,
don't say
because
the
it's the
surface of Earth?
artificial horizontal that's been created that's parallel with mean sea level by the mechanical
Gotcha.
gyro.
Yeah,
That's what it's
gotcha.
for the attitude indicator.
No, you're absolutely right. When I say the surface of Earth, well, no, they're not skating along it, but all parallels, right? So when I say that, in my mind, in my defence, it's like, obviously the established horizontal in the sky is parallel with the ground. What with it being horizontal and all, as shown in the pitch data. But it does need that disclaimer, because if I just say the ground, it's like, what do you mean referencing the ground? No, a parallel plane parallel with the ground, which is what's shown in the data. It has to be. Can't be anything else. Can't have pitch data on a globe. Can't have a horizon on a globe. That should be a housekeeping question. Is there any evidence you can have a horizon on a globe?
Is there any evidence that you can have horizontal on a globe?
No, you cannot.
Right. So for the layman, you then have to parse all these terms, because the immediate retort will be, well, horizontal is just a momentaneously rotating reference. Doesn't have anything to do with the ground necessarily. And then you have to have an answer for that. So what's the answer?
Pitch data, slap it on the table. Oh yeah, show me this continuous.
Yeah, fair. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
That's it. I just don't need to do anything after that. Bash! There you go. No, it isn't.
Yeah, but you already conceded that it's in reference to horizontal. So if they believe horizontal is momentaneously rotating, and that's their opinion, you could be correct all you want, but you're not going to convince them. So how are you going to convince them? Like, what next argument are you going to make?
You're saying if somebody's prepared to defy an
I already
axiom.
addressed that.
Hold on. If somebody's prepared to defy an axiom, what do I do with them next? Is that your question?
Well, keep in mind, in their worldview, horizontal, right, is not the same thing you mean by horizontal. So if you say horizontal and you say this is what it is, and they in their mind see something else, then you have to parse those terms to where they understand what you mean by it, right?
What do you mean by past terms? Do you mean break it down so there's no ambiguity?
Correct. Yeah. For example, like the term horizontal, we know in this arena is often misunderstood, much like the word science, and you have to parse it down to be like, well, this is what I mean in this context, and what you're saying is not actually what it is. So you're actually creating relevance for your definitions of the terms with corresponding it to reality. And by the way, they have to do the same thing for theirs. They can't just claim it's the case. They have to parse theirs out too.
So you're saying, generally speaking, you have to take a Socratic approach at this point.
Right. Well, unless they yield. If they yield and they understand your point immediately, then you wouldn't have to, would you?
Yeah, if they understand what horizontal actually means by definition and how it's used axiomatically, then no, you're not going to move forward past that point, obviously notwithstanding zealotry. But if they don't, then yeah, you're going to have to go through the Socratic method and define terms with them, so there is no ambiguity.
Now, where a lot of people screw up is they don't realize that as soon as the other person attempts to parse out their claim, so they will claim horizontal is momentaneously rotating as an object travels an arced path over the earth, right? That's what their claim is. Now, if they make that claim, that's a cool claim, but where's the evidence that that's occurring? They don't have it.
Indeed. Right. Is there anything else? Because we're going to go on to this video, if not.
Oh, there was something else. Yes, I do have it. So in the circles that I frequent, there are people that said that the way you worded the housekeeping question isn't forcing them to back their side of the claim like the other ones are. Like, for example, any evidence of this or that. So yes, the pitch data saying, is there any evidence you can have pitch data, isn't quite as precise as all the other questions. And so, I mean, I in my mind right now, I can't think of how to reword it particularly, but there's at least some contention out there that there's that wiggle room to where they could just say, oh, well, horizontal is momentaneously rotating, so I don't need to address this question, because it would be
But
the
that would
same pitch
make
data, right? So without that little parsing there, it's not quite as succinct as the other questions. That's all.
Agreed. It's had
but,
absolutely zero work on it.
One
Oh,
second.
sorry, Brian. Go ahead.
I have to disagree there. No, horizontal is a constant orientation. It can't change in relation to itself. It can't have a slope that's at a different pitch to itself. That can't happen. What they're talking about is incomplete non-reality. It's not horizontal. Horizontal can't exist on the paradigm they're claiming. I went through this in a response video to their responses, that was the main one. And I pointed
that's
out
fine.
zero
I
on
would
the
tend to
attitude.
agree with that. Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. The problem is that what you just said isn't in the question, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it needs work. I agree. What I've done, so it's definitely a work in progress, is slipped it in. Any evidence you can have pitch data on a globe. That's nowhere near good enough.
Now, to be fair, I'm only proffering something that someone told me in 24/7 because someone offered them that argument. And this person themselves that retorted back to them amended all the other questions, saying all these other questions are precise and they have a certain declarative statement with a certain expectation of a burden of proof from someone who would counteract it. But this one question doesn't seem to be in the same tone. The content could be there, and it probably is there, but just the way it's worded, it's I don't know. I can't explain what they were saying, but I guess the word might be
I totally get
ambiguous.
it. I totally get it.
But,
Like I say, what is being asked currently is a placeholder.
as I said, I would have to disagree, because the whole purpose of saying is, can you have pitch data on a globe? How can you pitch data on a globe? Is that it would require horizontal. And what they're claiming as a horizontal is a series of tangents that are at different degrees to each other, which would also wouldn't change what they think it would change in the plane, as I went through in my response video. Because if zero, which is the horizontal on the attitude indicator, decides to change its pitch in relation to what it was, that's not going to change the pitch of the plane, that's not going to have the plane follow it. That's a mechanical reference. If that screws up or does something different, the pitch is going to stay the same. So if that zero goes down, that's only going to increase the pitch above the zero. It's like they have it in their head that the autopilot somehow will somehow follow this zero. It's crazy nonsense. That doesn't happen. The pilot would have to be there and constantly follow the zero, because the autopilot's not going to do that. It's going to hold exactly as it was, in reference to the horizontal that it was set at. So when that zero, if the zero decides to change its position in relation to its old position, all that's going to do is increase the pitch of the aircraft and cause the aircraft to rise in altitude. The whole thing is a massive disaster. You can see, well, you don't need to see it, but the point I'm making is all their claims, I've heard them all, I've been through them all, and it actually is that simple. How can you pitch that on a globe? You can't, because you can't have a horizontal. Because what they're claiming is not horizontal. That's the problem.
Okay.
They can't have what they need to have. And even if they did have the situation they're talking about, it would still debunk them, because the plane is not going to follow the zero. The zero is just a reference. If that changes its position, the plane is not going to change. It's only going to, in relation to that zero, to be a greater pitch above the zero. It's not going to follow the zero around. It's not. This plane is not cyclically connected to the gyro. You know what I mean?
It hasn't got a zero anymore. So what's it going to reference? Anyway, right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Can I have a suggestion?
Say again?
Earlier you were talking about the fire watchers and how that would only work on the plane. And I was thinking about like railroads and how they would only work on a plane. Maybe a way to improve that question as a housekeeping question would just be to include those two things, or something that would be equal with it, because everything needs the same plane.
Okay, there's a reason we don't necessarily use surveying, and that is because it does, in a very literal sense, function locally. Now, I'm not saying it's not an absolute cast iron proof of how Earth is being measured, but there is a subtle difference
No,
between.
Nathan.
Go on.
No, I have to correct you there. No. You don't use surveying because you never properly learned it. Surveying is a great argument, but I wouldn't mix it in with the pitch stat. Rise over run is an epic argument, and so is the triangles used by geodetic surveyors. It's just a case of it can be very convoluted if you don't understand it, and there's a lot of rubbish that goes with it that cause people to go, well, maybe it would work on a globe, being stupid, when they don't understand what the surveyors are doing. So you have to learn a lot with that.
No, you're right.
So that's
right.
why,
To be fair,
I'm not attacking you. I'm just saying
No,
you never
it's fair,
sat
it's
down
fair.
and learned it.
We had this conversation about 2 weeks ago, vaguely, something like that. And we had exactly the same discussion. We just had the hour, maybe 2 hour discussion in 25 seconds just now, which is, I say, nah, it works locally. I think it was QE that said it, actually, not me originally. That was like, nah, the reason we don't use it is because it's typically local, and therefore they can bullshit their way around it relatively easily. And then you put forth rise over run, and that kind of drew a conclusion to it where it's like, oh, well, actually, no. It was when we were writing the book. That's right. We were deciding where it would slip in. And yeah, you won out in that regard. Yeah, I do remember now. So yeah, we've had this discussion recently, and you're absolutely correct. I conceded then, I'll concede now. You're right. Rise over run is an exceptionally good flat Earth proof. So yeah, maybe it should be. But the reason that we're talking about that is that's trains. When you say trains, that's what that boils down to. And yeah, back in the day, I absolutely used it. You know, one of my very, very earliest videos was talking about exactly that. You know, where I am in the country, and only being maybe 250, I can't remember if it's feet or meters above sea level, right in the middle of the country. So the Midland Oak is just down the road from me, and it's supposed to represent the very centre of England. That's what they're suggesting. Now, there's lots of places that claim that. Regardless, you know, it gives you an idea that I'm nowhere near the coast. And I'm, you know, how high above sea level? So then when you look at the rail network in terms of how it has to function, the gradients that it has to overcome, and if there's something that defies that gradient, they're either tunnelling through it or blasting it out of the way. You know, there's no, oh, well, just get the train to be able to cope with 10 degrees. Nah, it's got to be flat. That's how it's built. So yeah, it's an absolutely exceptional proof back from 2015. But the principles that go alongside it, yeah, as in reference to sea level, rise over run, these things are, you know, absolutely worthy of a housekeeping question. That's just not necessarily been demarcated by an argument we've had with somebody to put it in. But there's no reason why it shouldn't also. Anyway, I want to get to TJ Bowman's super chat because it's maybe going to throw a bit of a spanner in the works because it's a change of subject. So he says, Nathan, Felix Baumgartner should have landed in the Pacific, correct? But landed slightly east of takeoff, ? Okay. No, but yes. In principle, you're right. If you assume that we're on a globe and start making apologies for what a globe should be doing but isn't doing, then you can suggest that he should have landed in the Pacific. Now, I don't know if that's actually correct. I haven't looked it up, but I'm just going to take it as read that you know what you're asking and haven't ballsed up the question, said the wrong place or wrong direction. But let's just assume that he's correct, TJ Bowman, that is. No, it's only the case that he should have done something if you're under the misapprehension and presupposition that you are on a ball, and that ball is a non-inertial turning reference frame rotating at 15 degrees an hour. And you're suggesting that if we assume we're on a ball and we are rotating at 15 degrees an hour, then he should have landed somewhere other than where he did, which is basically where he took off from. Well, yeah, Earth is not rotating under Felix Baumgartner, but in a 2024 style response, I'd say you postulating that isn't necessarily something that I would advise. If an opponent puts it to you, then fine. Obviously, you'd rebut with, no, Earth's not a non-inertial turning reference frame turning under Felix Baumgartner to induce a Coriolis effect. Check out Felix. He looks like he's curving. Nah, it's just us turning underneath, said nobody ever. Because we're not turning underneath Felix Baumgartner to induce Coriolis effect of deviation that isn't really occurring as we turn underneath stuff. But that's their positive claim, not ours. In terms of us, when it comes to Coriolis effect or Earth rotation, as claimed by our opponents, it's a non-positive claim. I don't have anything to claim. It's the same with upward rising Earthers. You know, Delites try and force me into a position, or any of our panel into a position where we're making a non-positive claim about being stationary. No, we don't have a claim. We don't have a horse in this race. I don't have to prove anything. What's that? I've got to prove it's not doing something. I don't need to do that. Ever. Hope that answers your question. TJ Bowman, thank you very much for the super chat. Also, shout outs Unitox Femu, thanks for the super chat, Sasha. Learn Croatian. Look for word Ravnica. Welcome to FE. Ravnica in Croatian. He's saying look it up, and then in regards to it, he says welcome to Flat Earth. He's got 3 thumbs up, so presumably a few of the chat have actually looked at what that means. Sasha got it in the neck too, in regards to FE Platypus or whatever he's called. So while I was trying to break it down and there was a long stony silence from Platypus, Sasha stepped in. Can I ask a question? No! Sit down! Sorry, Sasha. It was off air, it didn't get recorded. 83 people watching. Please share the show if you've not done so already. I've actually put a link, I'll do it again now, to the video we were about to cover, which is called... Let's move my OBS out of the way. Oh, where the hell's that video gone? Oh, here it is. Oh, wrong one. Here we go. It's called Journal of the Geocentric... What's the rest of it? Cosmology. Okie dokie. So, yeah, please let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me with a polite comment. There is a link going by to this videographer's video. And from what I've heard from Vlad, this is somebody akin to David Weiss in terms of what he's presenting on his app. Now, I'm completely green to this. I don't know if you want to give us any preamble, Mush. Feel free.
No preamble, man. Just Dave Weiss 2.0. That's all I can say.
Dave Weiss 2.0. Okay, well, let's see what he's got to say.
You. On November 9th, Stephen will present his revolutionary astronomical model.
Hey there, thank you all for listening. So on November 9th, I invite you to join me on a live stream. There's 2 slots and they're spread 6 hours apart.
So, apologies if you're epileptic and you're watching him with his flashing light.
So I'm hoping that you'll be able to make one of the 2 times. I want to present the revolutionary astronomical model I made. It's a flat Earth model, but it has to be because we have multiple observers. This is...
We have to be because we have multiple observers. What? Why would that infer that it has to be flat? Ugh. I mean, we've already got maps and models. They've got plenty of distortions. Most of them have gone through a process of globe projection before becoming flat again. So there are plenty of maps that require Earth be flat for the angles to the stars to function with them. But you're saying because we've got multiple observers, it's got to be flat? That's pretty poor.
This is something globe-based models cannot do and never will be able to. Because if you try to take what I did and
what are they doing that they can't?
Wrap it around a ball, you'll just end up with another Stellarium or a Sky Safari.
Stellarium? What's he talking about? Stellarium's plotted with respect to the celestial sphere, is it not? I'm not that anyone familiar with Stellarium? Stellarium.
Yeah, he was a flat plane.
Yeah, it's a flat plane, right?
Those apps
but
exist.
It doesn't use the surface of a globe. You'd have to use the equatorial plane at vernal equinox kind of thing for Stellarium. Whereas that would be at the center of a globe, stretched right out into the celestial plane, blah, blah, blah. Maybe he's talking about purely just the surface.
No. I mean, I have used Stellarium once, or maybe twice, if it's the software I'm thinking of, and it doesn't give you the surface. it gives you the sky, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's not showing you a surface plotted in respect to a PZX triangle, is it? Unless I'm very much mistaken. Giving you the sky, is it not?
With reference to a flat plane.
Yeah, that's what I initially said.
It doesn't. See, it's a bit bizarre looking stellarium. It doesn't give you the sky as you actually see it, because they're trying to somehow involve a globe, but it doesn't use a curved surface for you to stand on. You're standing on a reference plane in stellarium.
Yeah, you're on the metaphorical equivalent of the equatorial plane in hell. But what they're projecting out, I understand that what they're trying to represent is a curved view. It's just trying to present it in a perspective manner in the software. But it's still with respect to a flat plane. Now you're saying if you try and do it, you'll end up with a stellarium model. It's like, no. Any claim to be, and I don't think that's the case with stellarium, even if it is projected through PZX triangles, its heart is in flat Earth angles regardless. But either way, all heliocentric claim to be models, which they're not, have their origins at the equatorial plane. They're all from the centre of hell. There is no exception. So when he's saying that they won't function, I hate being put in a position where I've got to defend what heliocentric quote-unquote models, I'm not calling them that, will or will not do. And when he's juxtaposing it with his model that he says can do something a heliocentric model can't, you're like, why are you doing this? I mean, I'll take a heliocentric assertion and turn it into a flat Earth win because it requires certain aspects that are measured flat to function. That's where its origins came from. So to say that it can't function in a flat manner, when I know damn well that that's how it's created in the first instance, flies in the face of what we're putting out there currently. Now, I know why he's doing it. He's saying, I can do this flat and the globe won't work. And you're like, oh, yeah, but it's kind of poorly researched and comes off looking like you don't really understand what a heliocentric model can and cannot do as you're defining it as a model. Anyway.
You can see when the sun will rise, but what I made is a model that shows how the world, the entire universe, really works, right down to the planets and stars. So even the Southern Cross constellation, we can now learn about how that really works on our...
Do you mean how it really works? You know, what... Does he not realise we've got star charts and we've been tracking these things for, allegedly, thousands and thousands of years? Like, really accurate. We can tell we've got a method to show, like on a clock, what the next second will be as it ticks along through its pattern. You know, we've already done all this.
Or flat Earth. And it's fascinating.
All of those descriptions that originated from, what, angle measurements to stars off a flat Earth anyway? We've already got this. But they're put into practical application and, like, this model that you're creating. Ugh.
That mo-
Go on.
that model right there seems to be a lot of flat plane celestial sphere models separated on a larger flat plane.
Yeah, I don't think they're celestial spheres. He's got a flat plane with perspective view domes. It's like so half-assed. While we're explaining how that creates a heliocentric projected view with PZX triangles off a flat plane in the centre of it, he's taking a perspective view and slapping it all over this flat azimuthal equidistant projection with lines from the sun and saying it's got to be flat because we've got multiple observers. Like, oh, God, man, it makes me cringe.
Fascinating, because what I want to do on this live stream is I'll give you my cell phone number so you can call in, tell me where you live. I can look up the location automatically because we're a mapping platform. That's one other thing. I'm not even going to type in GPS. Just tell me where you live, Toronto, New York, Tokyo. It'll plot you automatically. That's one of the pro features. But
Really? Oh, yeah. And pray tell, how will you be plotting this? What chart or map will you be using? And what were its origins? This is so flawed. Oh, what a joke. Does anybody else find this
Well,
embarrassing?
yeah, but what you have is multiple observers all taking angle measurements off a flat plane to a fixed point in the sky, the actual position of the sun, which the actual part is he's going to have a hard time with.
Yeah, but that's not what he's saying, man.
It's what we did 10 years ago when I tracked the sun on a Flat Earth Live and asked people to tune in and give us their solar noon, sunrise and sunset at various points. We matched it up with the azimuthal equidistant projection, and in the course of 2 different events showed where it was inaccurate, and then moved on with our lives. But I wouldn't suggest for 1 second that me just basically checking whether or not a globe projection actually functions correctly when you look at where the sun is or not. And if I was to turn that into, well, actually, I've created a new model, obviously I'll be plotting your locations with respect to where we're going to show you on a globe projected flat Earth map. It's like, this is riddled. It's amateur night. It's an indictment on me personally from 10 years ago also, but I'm happy to take that on the chin too. It's like the methodology beyond what it achieved, which is showing that the azimuthal equidistant map doesn't work in the way it's designed and suggested it should work. It's inaccurate. It's off. Yeah? It's supposed to be tracking where the sun will be. You can call it a glorified sun clock if you like, the azimuthal equidistant projection. That's why it's got, like, on the, I think it's called the Gleason's. I think it's got a clock around the outside. It used to have, like, literally hands for you to point the position on the map from the center point. That's what azimuthal means. Works from the center out. Well, that function, we checked. We saw if it worked, and it didn't. Now, you can blame it on time zones. You can blame it on whatever you like. It doesn't really matter. Once you've invalidated that map, globe projection, Gleason's projection, whatever you want to call it, the as it is map, well, that's it. You move on with your life, don't you? You don't start basing other skewed models that you create in. I mean, this is shite. Look at it. Like, I've asked it once, but is nobody else embarrassed by this? Clearly
Is
not.
this guy a flat earther?
Go on.
Is he a flat earther? Should I be embarrassed about him?
Yeah, I think he's a flat earther. I think he's got the best of intentions. No offense to you, mate.
More
Stephen.
slippery slope than anything.
All right, let's
I
hear a
mean,
little
it
bit
sounded
more.
like embarrassing, but it's like, okay, you're in dangerous territory.
Yeah.
Well, maybe hang on, he might have a point. You don't know, like, he might have a point in what he's saying.
Yeah, okay.
I haven't researched everything he's showing. So he might have done a lot of research, but the problem is it depends on the map he's using as well. If he's using an AE map, then he has, for instance, an Australia that's twice too big or something like that.
Yes, he
That's
is.
not going to help matters.
Well, no, it's not.
You know, things like that.
Yes, he is, and no, it's not. Yeah, exactly, Brian. It's on the picture that he's using. So, okay.
I want everyone to have the free app. That's what's down there in the bottom corner. It's a free app with the sun and moon because I believe education is important. The entire world needs to have this app. You learn celestial mechanics.
It is a possibility. No, I don't want to be that guy, but I have to be that guy. There is a possibility that he's not actually a flat earther. The whole purpose of this is to make us look bad. Now, but then again, flat earthers are very likely to do exactly what he's doing. So it's hard to know.
So you learn how the solar system works, and you can go out.
Doesn't sound like a flat earther. So how the solar
why
system works. Heliocentric terminology much? Go ahead, Refracted or Brian, whoever that was.
It's me. I was
Maybe
like,
he's
yeah,
trying
that's
to
why I was
prove.
confused. when I
Hold
heard
on,
from him.
Adam.
He's,
Refracted, then Brian, then Adam.
I was just saying that's why I was confused when I came in. I thought he was a heliocentrist trying to play like he was a flat earther to debunk flat earthers.
Well, he's saying that education's good and you need to learn about the solar system. What the solar, as in the sun-based, the center system that heliocentrists use. No, this guy seems like he's sketchy. He's using the wrong terminology, which kind of gives him away. What were you going to say, Brian? Obviously not. Adam? Oh, go ahead, Brian. Sorry.
Nathan, like, what can I do if I'm coughing? I can't open up my mic and cough through it. That's, you know what I mean? Give me a second. Go on with the show. It doesn't matter.
It's
Just
all right.
my point is that he's likely not a flat earther.
Yeah, it could be a grift. Go ahead, Adam. Was it Adam in Discord that wanted to get a word in?
There is no Adam, only Zool.
Let's move on.
Side and the app will.
Go on. Was that someone that wanted to get a word in?
Yeah, I would say people have tried to do this before. Like if you remember Decimal Z or Dr. Zach, he was involved with the FE core back in the day, and he and some of his crew attempted to do a stimulation in a computer of a star field that was planar in nature and how it would then appear through perspective effect to have essentially, for lack of a better term, a personal dome from each bystander, right? So if you make certain assumptions about the nature of the stars relative to the Earth and the angles at which you see them based on a sole instance of viewing it without coordinating other people's instances, then you could make like a quote unquote crude model of what you think is going on. But of course, you have to parse out your assumptions, whether they're true or not. So people on the globe side, like for example, Walter Bislin tried doing the personal dome. Other guys did this before. So if this guy's trying to advance essentially a perspective dome and how we see the world relative to a flat plane, which by the way they have to do anyway when they convert the globe model into the plane of reference, right? So he's not entirely off base, but based on some of his quirks here, it does seem like he's a little bit out to lunch.
Right.
Like, this is the one thing that I will never be able to hit in my head, you know, is just imagining myself somehow as like a light speed going. What is speed of light? I know, but if I could see the stars the entire way, my entire night, if I could see those things go in a circle or something like that, if I could reconcile what I see, which is just an arc in the sky, with that, I could maybe make some sense out of it. But right now, I'm just trying to really learn more about the stars, I guess, even though they have nothing to do with what we're on, which is always going to be from level. I know that part.
Well, you say they don't have anything to do with what we're on, but we know where they're above at a given time because we can measure them with respect to a flat plane. And where they're above is critically important for navigation. So you could say in isolation what they are, that twinkling light, if you don't say anything about it other than that's a twinkling light, well, no, it's in the sky. So obviously it's not the ground, it's the sky, it's got nothing to do with it, right? Well, no. At night, when you literally stare up at your zenith directly above you, if there's a star directly above you, then that's a useful tool to know that that's a position on the ground that it is above. That's the basis of the navigation system that we've used and created the maps with in the first instance, and then created the globe from them. So it's critically important that they associate themselves parallel with the ground at all altitudes that we measure angles with them, so that we can use that principle to navigate. Shout out to Platypus. Says, took it all with a grain of salt. You have a toothache. He's making apologies for me. I've been around you for several years because I like debate. Most recently for tearing apart ether. Fair enough. Good on you. Well, I apologise if I was a bit harsh with you, telling you that I despise you. That wasn't necessary. I don't. Just reverting to type. In the same way I was criticising Witsit in the live show that we did on QE, saying when he's saying, you just want to call me an idiot. And Neil's in the background going, no one's called you an idiot. He's conditioned, right, from dealing with anti-flat earthers when they don't understand his fast-speaking nonsense and they can't keep up with it, and they revert to calling him an idiot. So his response is, I'm not an idiot, that's all you've got. But in this particular circumstance, he hadn't done that. With me, with G. Platypus, I just reverted to type, you're a zealot. Admittedly, I'll take him to a place to justify calling him a zealot, but it was a bit over the top. In any event, thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate your support.
Tell you that your sunrise will be at 7 o'clock or whatever time it will be, because this is the real life flat earth model. So it knows everything around, and you can test it yourself. I'm the one who developed this. So I've been testing it now myself for about 6 months to a year, and I'm very confident in that. That's why I want it to be a free app. I'm not trying to scam you or do anything. I want it to be a free app that
Why? I'm not trying to scam you. Up until this point, there's a good chance nobody thought you were. I mean, we're dubious about what you're saying and criticising it for what it is. Yeah? And earlier, I think I might have hinted, maybe this is a bit of a grift, right? But we only hinted at it, but now you're overtly telling us it's not a scam. Oh, well, that alleviates all concerns. Sarcastic.
He might be throwing shade, too. It might be him throwing shade at Dave White.
Yeah, brother, that's what I got.
Oh, okay, you're reading between different lines than I'm reading between then.
that you can then have to learn about how the world works. And I don't even care if you believe in the flat earth or the globe. This is an astronomical model that allows you and your friend to see their perspectives at the exact same time. And
what does that mean? See their perspective at the exact same time? That's not even a sensible statement to make. Yeah, I can't see someone else's perspective at the same time as mine.
Yeah, well, if you had a screen that represented from their viewpoint, maybe. So, like, if you're looking at an object, someone else is looking at an object. Obviously, you can't see through their eyes.
Let me
But
get.
if you had a simultaneous camera at both viewpoints, then yeah.
He knew I was going to object with both viewpoints. What, like a 3-dimensional camera that can give me perspective, sort of thing, like a 3D representation, holographically presented for me to enjoy their view at the same time as mine. I'm going to go with no.
Yeah, but he couldn't do that unless he's modeling it in software, because he couldn't have the cameras at both locations. So it ultimately would be a software model.
Hold on a minute. Are you telling me there's a problem with your subjective view of a claimed objective view of a subjective view?
Yes, I am. Yeah, that basically is what I'm saying. Good summary.
you can test this against a globe app such as Stellarium or Sky Safari, or you can even call up your friend and see when the sun is overhead. So my app will accurately tell you what I call the solar noon.
Will it? Okay, based on what? Oh, shout out to GJ Bowman. Thank you very much for the super sticker. It's critical hit. Fair enough.
It's when you look up and the sun's right above you. So as you know, on the real life flat earth model, the sun's going like this, and it goes closer to the North Pole, out to the South Pole through the seasons.
Does it? We'd need to know what it was for you to make that assertion. Have you verified this? Have you checked what the sun is? To make these claims? To make these statements? I know where it's above at given times. That's about it. Telling me it's going faster, moving in... I don't know if it's doing that. I just know where it's above at a given time. Describing what it's actually doing to achieve what we perceive. I can't do that. I can't validate that. I can't even assert it. I don't know what it is. It's outrageous.
But as it's doing that great circle loop, the sun's above
Great circle route, another globe term.
you, and it does that once every 24 hours. You can call people in Brazil, say, hey, is the sun above you? Look up, they'll say, yeah.
Anybody understand at this point, we're 3.5 minutes into this video, what's the app for? What is described to me so far is I can call up a mate and tell him when the solar noon's going to be. What's this app for?
See, that's the thing. That's one of the weird things about it. It's not necessary. The Stellarium uses a flat plane of reference. So it's not necessary. This I don't know, and he doesn't have, like, the map he's using is just a stretched globe map. As I said earlier, Australia and places like that will be all stretched out or in the wrong position if you're talking about Tahiti. You know, something is not right with this.
And then my
There's
model's in
nothing wrong.
3D.
Go on, John.
There's nothing wrong with a subjective, objective, subjective view of the world. That's obviously not crazy.
So this has never been done before.
Like, if it had never been done before, how have you got things to compare and contrast it with? This is stupid.
There is like 2D bird's eye view apps that are also accurate, but they're limited.
Like, this video's gone a bit squirrely. Very squirrely. Can you guys still hear me okay?
I can hear you, yeah.
Okay, well, this video's gone... Actually, everything's gone a bit squirrely. It's not letting me stop screen sharing either. Okay, well, obviously I'll have to sort that out in the after show. That's going to be where we end, because I think Google's crashed. Oh no, there we go, we've got it back. No, it just doesn't work anymore.
What happened? Did we lose sound? Nathan, did you get muted or something?
Can you not hear me in Discord?
Introducing senior developer and flat Earth
Oh
researcher
no, everything's
Stephen
going
Alonso.
squirrely. Well, I'll have to sort that out in the after show. Plan B, go to the camera and round out the live stream. With that, I say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Right, I've got to track down where this window's playing something.
Phone number, so you can call in, tell me where you live. I can look up the location automatically because we're a mapping platform. That's
There
one
it is.
other thing. I'm not even going to type in GPS. Just tell me where.
Found it. Everything went squarely. Sorry about that. I wouldn't have rounded out the live show at that point if it hadn't have all gone a bit squarely.
I think that poor fella had just got his hands on some concepts he hasn't got his head around yet, and he put it out something way too soon.
Or it's a grift.
Well, it's definitely not a grift, because, you know, people wouldn't do things like that, would they?
I mean, it's free. How could it be a grift? Free things don't grift you, do they?
Right.
Yeah, anybody claim that you're a scammer. And
Maybe he's not. You know, I'm not suggesting that this is a grift or isn't a grift. It's just embarrassingly poor in terms of what it's trying to do. Does it have any practical application? I'm pretty sure this doesn't. So, well, okay, good for you. On you go. I won't be downloading it. No offense. It seems useless. Unless someone else can spot a practical application that this might have.
I don't know. Is it just confirmation bias for flat earthers?
Probably.
Something like that. It definitely has
You
a
also
one map.
mentioned South Pole a couple of times. What flat earther talks about South Pole?
Well, I'll tell you this. Sometimes I need a subjective view of an objective view of a subjective view. Sometimes I need that for things.
You guys are missing something as well, which I'm not necessarily saying he's doing, but there's bound to come up that at least one quote unquote flat earther was going to attempt to prove that essentially, for lack of a better term, heliocentric space exists and the Earth actually is a floating disk in that space. So maybe he's trying to do that. Who knows?
Maybe.
I'm rooting for him.
Go on, John.
I was just gonna say I'm rooting for him. I hope he gets it figured out, because it's beyond me how the stars do what they do.
Seems like we could all use some astronomy lessons.
as opposed to astronomy lessons.
We could do astrology lessons. I think I'm a Capricorn.
Right, what should I title the show? New FE app?
Maybe, yeah.
No. New quote unquote FE app.
That's better.
Okie doke.
I mean, like I said a long time ago, you know, if we broke the math, which we did with the Black Swan, and I'm going to call myself we, you know, then the only thing that they could come back with is to fix the math somehow. So we all kind of knew that these types of things were probably going to have to happen. New maps, new ideas, and probably some people with the, you know, with the money or the with the crazy to be like, hey, you there? Take a picture of the sun for me.
Yeah, but you need to have a scale. You know, you need to have the parameters of the so-called model. You know, how far is the sun from the surface? How far is the moon from the surface? You know, and how far is from this outside line to the other opposite outside line? You know, you need to have the parameters. You need to know the diameters. It doesn't have any of that. It's not the model.
I mean, if he's using tools, he's going to have to use them as level or at level. So it's always going to have to be from flat if he's, you know, using level as earth, which is everything and everyone, you know. We don't not use level as earth. We use earth as level, level as earth. It's not hard for me.
Did
But
somebody
he claimed
claim
to be
that they
from a
had a
mapping
model?
company. Sorry, John.
Oh, go ahead, Brian. I heard model thrown out there a couple of times. I don't know if anybody has a model, do they?
Get real. Ever look
No.
out your window and think, that horizon looks awfully flat. Maybe the Earth a giant pancake. Don't worry, I've been there. We all have those moments. But here's
That's some other video he's playing. That guy with the app there a minute ago, he claimed to be from a mapping company. Well, how come he has the wrong map then? Why don't you make a proper map? You know what I mean? Fix the Gleason's map of all the nonsense. That would be a start.
Here's the thing, my friends. The Earth is not flat. It's round, like a basketball. Like a grapefruit. Like that delicious orange you had for breakfast. I know. Some folks out there are yelling at their screens right now, Bill. You've gone bananas. But trust me on this one, the evidence is out there, and it's as
Spew baseless assertions.
Yeah, the evidence is out there somewhere. It's the same old rubbish for the past decade.
clear as the smile on a science-loving kid's face.
Category error.
Now, you might be wondering,
Aye.
why is it such a big deal if some people think the Earth is flat? Isn't it
No big deal. It's always been measured flat. Always will be. Nothing's going to change.
harmless fun? Well, not exactly.
Harmless fun. Not if you're lost at sea and you need to.
What else you gonna do with it? I don't know. Usually just let it.
Jolly good.
Yeah, I think it was just hot miking.
Exactly. You see, believing in a flat Earth isn't just about geography, it's about
Not a belief. It's how it's measured.
how we think, how we learn, and how we tell fact from fiction. It's
Nope, it's just how it's measured.
Oh, sorry, hold on. Just to back him up a little bit, there are people who say they are flat earthers who believe it could be a really big ball. So there are people that believe it's flat. And then there's, our little group.
You know that's how it's measured.
about critical thinking, people. And trust
Do we need to apply any critical thought to a measurement?
No.
me, in a world filled with fake news, wacky conspiracy theories, and politicians who say "Kov Fef" with a straight face, critical
Non sequitur fallacy.
thinking is more important than ever.
Not about critical thinking, it's about measurements that don't require any critical thought.
Think of it like this. Critical thinking is like a superpower that helps you navigate the world with your brain
Non sequitur and category error.
switched
I'm
firmly
guessing
to the
he's critical thinking. I can almost guarantee you his idea of critical thinking will be a logical fallacy in some way.
Let's
Like, I
see.
could put money on it.
Yes, let's see.
on position. And who doesn't want superpowers?
All right, let's get down to business and debunk some of the most common myths about our supposedly flat Earth. These myths, my friends, are like that weird smell in your refrigerator. You know something's off, but you're not
False equivalence fallacy.
quite sure what it is. Well, consider me your friendly neighborhood myth-busting refrigerator repairman. Myth number 1. If the Earth were round, we'd all fall off. This one's a...
So, debunking flat Earth myths, and the first premise that you're going to go through starts with the assertion that if Earth were round. Okay.
classic. But here's the deal. Gravity, that invisible force that keeps your feet firmly planted on the ground, it pulls...
It's not a force and hasn't been a force for 109, almost 110 years. Gravity is...
Can we take a moment
Go on.
to indict some flat earthers out there? Because he's not saying what he just said in a vacuum. There are flat earthers out there who, to this day, lead with that argument. If the Earth was a ball, we'd all fall off. For real, people do that to this day.
Dum-dums.
pulls
That's true.
everything towards the center of the Earth, not just down.
Gravity's not a force, it's not pulling anything. Newtonian gravity as a concept was overturned, superseded by Einsteinian bent pseudo-Riemannian fourth dimensional space-time 109 years ago.
Can you give me a J on that? Because he said that there was being pulled inwards, not just down. That sentence is horrible. I believe that's what he
But here's
said.
the deal. Gravity, that invisible force that keeps your feet firmly planted on the ground, it pulls everything towards the center of the Earth, not just down.
Cluster, you know what.
He's right and he's wrong.
Well, it's not doing anything inwards, it's not a force, and they don't have an up and down.
It's not real at all. Not that it's not a force. It's not real.
Yeah.
There
Quite.
is no gravity other than you can prove scientifically specific gravity, which is just a name they gave to relative density, which has nothing to do with general relativity and nothing to do with Newtonian mechanics.
Or to quote Brian Cox, quote, there isn't really a force of gravity at all, end quote.
So, no matter where you are on our spherical planet, you're safe from being flung into the abyss.
Begging the question fallacy.
Yeah, he's already placing himself on the globe, which shows that this is purely confirmation bias for himself and his audience. He's not trying to actually debunk anything. He just wants to talk about how he's on the globe and everything's safe. Hold on to the barriers. There won't be any trouble. That's basically it.
Myth number 2, I can't see the curvature of the Earth.
So myth number 2 for a flat earther is what you can or cannot do on a ball with respect to a geometric point below surface level when measuring Earth flat. It's nothing to do with flat Earth beyond the use of a flat Earth in a globe assertion that you're saying may or may not work. That's 2 for 2. Neither of them have got anything to do with flat Earth. They're assertions that you're suggesting a flat earther may rebut your positive claim about a globe Earth with. That's what you're actually doing.
Yeah, but Nathan, he's right. Like, flat earthers say, you can't see this curve that's supposed to be there. They do say that because you can't see it because it's not there. I have no problem with that.
I do.
It just is what it is.
All right. Well, I see that as in 100, 200, wherever many years it takes to eradicate this nonsense assertion. It's like an idiot coming along and saying there aren't any unicorns there. You're like, okay, why would you be telling me this? There isn't any curve. Okay. Well, thanks for that.
Yeah, but that's... I get what you're saying, but right now, it's not crazy. I can't say it's not crazy to say it, but it's not perceived as crazy to say it. You're just pointing out a fact. You're
It's
told
not a fact.
the Earth is a globe. You're told
it's not a fact. It's non-positive. There is not a curve.
it is a fact.
No.
That there isn't.
When you say there isn't something, yeah, it's non-positive, isn't it? Saying there isn't a curve. I'm like, how can I? That's not a foundation to base anything on, is it?
Well, the foundation that people are coming from is a foundation where they were told they were standing on a sphere.
Yeah, that's
So
my
someone saying
issue.
that there isn't this curvature there that would be there if we were on a sphere. I personally have no problem with that. It's just someone responding to what they were taught.
Okay, I can feel myself getting annoyed with you, and it's not you I'm annoyed with, right? Yeah, I understand the reasoning behind. You, Mr. Globe-believing normie, automatically will assume a certain stance. Based on the fact that I know you'll automatically take a certain stance, I'm going to take apart what I know will be your stance. So we're all starting from the globe stance because I know that you're going to automatically be in that position. But I don't have to do that. Go on, John.
It's switching the default position to we already experience a globe. Why would you think it's flat? Instead of we already experience level as a flat plane, why would you think it's curved?
Exactly. So when I say we want to take people along the, well, what difference does it make? Well, none. It's always been flat. And then when they go, well, no, I think it's a, well, that's a crazy, outrageous claim you're making. As opposed to, oh, yeah, we'll pander to the idea that I already know you're going to be assuming. Oh, no, whoa. Why? Let them make their positive claim if they're going to. I'll quickly find out how stupid they are if they're talking to Earth. But I don't have to do it. 2024, man. Earth's measured flat. That's it. I don't have to make any excuses for your automatic religious belief. What, because the rest of the world, bar me as one individual, automatically hold this default position that's incorrect? I don't care. I am that lone wolf. Sod it. I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm not going to say we see too far. I'm not going to say there is no Earth curve. I'm not going to do any of it anymore. I don't have to.
Well, sure, you can't see it from your backyard, but guess what? You can see it from airplanes and from...
No, not according to Neil deGrasse Tyson. That stuff is flat. Meanwhile, it's claimed to be 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, derived from surface level parallel with eye level. You need a flat Earth to make the assertion of Earth curve. Your assertion that you can see a horizon bending. No, that's a defiance of what a horizon is. You can't have a horizon on a globe, let alone see something that axiomatically would defy the principle of what it's useful for if you say it bends from an airplane window.
Space.
How's he getting up?
And
Hold on. How's he getting up in the airplane on a globe tart?
He couldn't
How's he
defy the
flying?
lift effect.
Yeah.
from those cool...
Go on.
No, that's it. How's he flying
Time-
on a globe?
You can't. It defies the lift effect. It's Brian's baby.
There you go. There's two reasons why you're not seeing curve from an airplane that's idiotic, and you can't fly an airplane on a globe tart.
lapse videos of the Earth rotating that make you feel all philosophical about life.
Sorry, videos of the Earth rotating.
Sorry, Nathan, can I say something? I couldn't get it in before you pressed play.
I'm going to go with no.
That's a total lie. When I hear that, right, I know the person is completely lying. This thing about you can see the curve of a globe out from an airplane window. Like, you don't need to know anything about the lift effect or pitch data or anything else to know, right, if you've been on an airplane, that's a lie. You can't see, you don't see any of that from that position. Right? Now, whether you should or shouldn't on a globe see it from that height or whatever, blah, 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 is not the argument. The point is that is a complete lie. Right? It doesn't matter what your beliefs are, right? If you believe you're on a globe, the point is that you don't see this claimed Earth curve from an airplane. That's a lie. So he just told his audience a total lie.
Universe and everything. Myth number 3. There's a giant ice wall surrounding the Earth.
Who's claiming this? So when you look at an azimuthal equidistant globe projection, it has the south point they claim to be an island projected around the entire edge of that globe conical, if I'm using the right term, I've never looked it up, projection that ends up being the azimuthal North Pole centric globe projection. No, this misapprehension is rightfully peddled as something that you could refute flat earthers as claiming. It's just not us. Stereotyping fallacy.
Okay, this one just makes me laugh. Who built this ice wall? Penguins with construction equipment?
Who built what ice wall? I mean, if you're going to attack this, at least attack it for the total lack of merit in the initial claim, rather than who built it. Oh my God. I mean, what's it called when you miss a ball that's like in baseball that's like really easy to hit? What's that called? There's a term for it.
Whiffing?
There's a really easy shot lined up for him, and he swung and missed.
Strike out.
Whiffed it.
Strike out.
Called a witsit. It's technical term.
Strike out.
Whiffed it.
Not a witsit. You mean a lob? Do you mean a lob?
When you've got a really easy ball coming towards you, you swing, it should be disappearing into the skyline, and no, the guy behind you catches it, and you just look like a dick.
Can you hear me, Nathan?
Yeah.
I gave you the answer. Strike out.
Yeah, he struck out with that one.
And what's on the other side? A giant cosmic pancake griddle? Come on, people. We can do better than this.
Sorry, Nathan. Can I just point something out here?
I'm going to go
the ice wall. Well, I'm going to go with it now. The ice wall is a globe claim originally. They claim, well, when I say it's a globe claim, they claim that there was a massive ice wall around the perimeter of Antarctica. And if you stretched out a globe map from the North Pole down, then that makes an ice wall around the perimeter of a flat plain, which there might be, I don't know. But the point, well, I don't know what holes in the oceans. Has to be something solid. But the point being is that the ice wall is a claim on a globe too. So what's he talking about?
Yeah, he's not clarified his perimeter of the azimuthal equidistant projection. I'm so used to hearing it. I've done it on his behalf. I shouldn't have done that, really.
Yeah, but that comes from the claim that Antarctica is an ice island. That's the highest continent on Earth, and it's a desert. It's this big dry ice island. So they claim that there's this massive ice wall, and it's not. That there isn't any photos of a massive ice wall. There is, but I don't know if it's all the way around the perimeter. But the point is that there is a claim of an ice wall on his globe. That's not just a flat Earth claim. That's the straw that they're trying to hand us a claim that they also have.
I love that limitation in language, right? So, desert conjures an image. Now, without just going straight to the dictionary and looking at what that means, right? Desert, you go, okay, I know what desert is. Well, Antarctica, Brian just used the word desert. Well, he's strictly accurate because that is what they describe it as based on the limitation of rainfall. Very, very limited rainfall. But then you cut to a picture of someone in one of the man-made tunnels, and there's icicles everywhere. So there's got to be water in the air, otherwise it wouldn't be making it into these places. You know what I mean? To form these giant icicles that they have to hack off daily. So, but apparently it's a desert. That's just a limitation in language, though, wouldn't you say? But an amusing one.
I'm just going with the official claim of what the claim it is. The claim it's a big flat sheet of of dry ice, like ice, that real dry cold, where there's no precipitation, basically, or very, very little. Yeah.
Now that we've tackled
I
some
think
of
what
the
you're talking about, Nathan, is actually around, just for a second, I think what you're talking about is more the low-lying lands around the Antarctic perimeter, as opposed to what they claim about the Antarctic itself, the ice shelf, which is this big, flat, high ice desert, basically. That's their claim. Anyway, I just wanted to make that correct.
myths, let's talk about how to avoid falling for them in the first place. That's where critical thinking comes in.
Back to critical thinking. A category error. It's just measurements, mate.
Your secret weapon against bad ideas, misinformation, and those annoying spam emails promising you $1 million if you just click this one weird link.
Non sequitur fallacy.
Think of critical thinking like building a super awesome, indestructible sandwich.
False equivalence.
Nathan, wouldn't you take critical thinking? If you had critical thinking, wouldn't you think you would have researched a little bit about the Antarctic ice shelf, ice wall, and known it was a globe claim as well as a lot of flat earthers claim it?
No,
It's just
I'm
an
liking
official
this
claim.
vibe. Think of it as a giant hot dog. Critical thinking.
It's a massive sandwich, a massive Antarctic sandwich.
This guy's a bozo from 2015. Idiot arguments.
You
Is
need
it
the
possible
right.
that he thinks? Is it possible that he thinks critical thought is like dying? You know, so his thought is dying. Possibility I'm throwing out there.
We'll see.
Ingredients in the right order to make it work. First,
It makes no difference to my ham, cheese, and tomato sandwich which order I put those 3 ingredients on the bread. Still works.
Yep, he's a moron.
you start with a solid foundation of evidence. That's the
Solid foundation. Like some bread. This is great.
bread of your sandwich. Then you add.
How solid's bread? Is it a good foundation?
When you're gonna create a foundation, though, the first thing you got to do is level it out, make it nice and flat to build on it.
Right, like a sandwich. Yeah, I see where he's going.
Layers of logic and reasoning. The
like Swiss cheese.
meat and cheese of your argument, so to speak.
Right,
and
right.
finally, you top it off with a healthy dose of skepticism, the secret sauce that makes everything taste better.
This is all complete bollocks. It's just measured flat.
That is so idiot.
He's a bozo.
Let's put our critical thinking caps on and debunk those flat earth myths with the power of science. Remember,
Nathan. Do you know what I thought he was just about to say there?
The power of, this is great. I mean, sometimes you've got to go to these spaz videos to show what they want to deny. The anti-flat earthers would deny this sort of stuff. No, we haven't said that we've got science. The power of science is going to debunk the flatties. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, when he said, let's put, right, all that came into my head instinctively was another shrimp on the barbie. You know, that's what you know, from Dumb and Dumber.
I have this problem. You ever have this problem? And you put your palm up and suddenly a little brain and a load of applications appear in front of you? It's a real problem.
remember that gravity thing we talked about?
The 109-year out-of-date force that you incorrectly ascribed it as being. Yeah, I remember. What about it?
It's not just a good idea, it's the
Good idea? I thought it was a force. Now it's just a good idea.
law, and gravity doesn't.
It's not a law. And laws would be descriptions of things that occur always. Not all things fall down. Like, look up, there's clouds above you.
Doesn't care if you believe in it or not.
Good.
He's just trying to equivocate down with in. That's what he really needs to do, is make down become in, up become out.
Yeah,
in
you
his own
can't do
mind.
that.
Go back 10 seconds, Nathan.
You're not the boss of me.
Flat Earth myths with the power of science. Remember that gravity thing we talked about? It's not just a good idea, it's the law, and gravity doesn't care if you believe in it or not.
It's the law.
Woo, woo, woo. Excuse me, clouds. What do you think you're doing up there? It's the law. Get your ass back down here.
It's going to keep on doing its thing, pulling
everything down.
Everything towards the center of our big round Earth.
Oh my God! Get the gravity police. There's clouds.
As for not seeing the curvature of the Earth from the ground, well, that's just a matter of perspective. Imagine
The perspective exclusive mathematics assert that you can see it from the ground at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet when you derive a point below surface level in orthographic view, parallel with eye level at elevation. That's with respect to the ground. What a dumbass. You don't even know your own religion of Earth curve that we debunked in 2020 with the Black Swan. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, you can supposedly see a boat sail over a non-geometric globe's edge that doesn't exist.
When people have their
On the
mindset
beach.
of it's going to be seen from an airplane window, and you're like, that's a lie. Yeah, you don't know your own religion. In your mind, I go up in a plane and I see Earth curve. Can't see it from the ground. No, you can see it from any altitude if you assume that you can see a point below a flat surface level in an orthographic mathematical representation deriving points below surface level from flat surface level. You can do that. That's what is done if you're going to say you've got an Earth curve. It doesn't mean we've got an Earth curve. You need a flat surface to derive it from, but you think you can just see Earth curve from a plane. No, you can't. You just don't know your own religion at all. It's pathetic.
Yeah, from any altitude above sea level, you can calculate the dip to a point below sea level.
Exactly.
Imagine an ant on a basketball.
Here we go. Bolt equivalent straight from Neil deGrasse Tyson. Let's see if he ballses it up. This is a delicate magic trick that this is one of Tyson's best magic tricks, actually.
To that ant, the surface of the basketball would seem flat.
Would it?
No, it wouldn't.
No, it wouldn't.
No, it wouldn't. No.
Well, there's a baseless assertion for you. Why? Back it. Show. And no. No, when something's curving, it's curving. You don't get on something curving and go, check out how flat this curving thing is.
But we know better, don't we? We've seen pictures. We've sent...
So by this logic, the Earth curve mathematics, let's just chuck it away then. I mean, not that we didn't debunk it in 2020 anyway. But based on this rhetoric that he's going along the lines of, you can't derive Earth curve mathematics. That's what he's basically saying. It's because he doesn't know his own religion. This is straight up anti-flat earthism. Because he's trying to debunk flat Earth, he's prepared to piss in the face of his own assertion that he's got an Earth curve to assert from surface level. 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. Hello? Learn your religion.
Sent people into space. We've even got satellites.
There are no people in space. Right, let's have a look at this dude. Why has he got a suit around him? Oh, is it so he's not going to lose the high-pressure gas he needs to breathe to this black area? Yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it? He doesn't want to, like, suffocate in the vacuum, so he needs a container around him to keep the gas in. What's containing this gas? Pray tell. Why isn't this gas going into the 10 to the minus 17 torr vacuum that this man needs a container for, and this has no containment? It's a straight-up second law of thermodynamics violation. If this was the case, this garbage, then the gas would fill the space. It's a law. Not like gravity, that's not a law. Laws of nature include things like gas dispersion, entropic dispersion. That's second law of thermodynamics. Gas fills space, making this bunk.
Satellites orbiting the Earth, beaming down.
Hey, Adam.
Good then, guys.
You finish work?
I have actually.
Want to do book stuff?
Well, I've got to walk the dog at 5 o'clock. I've got to walk mine and next door's dog, but other than that, I'm not going to be half an
Oh,
hour.
we've got a dog coming today. One of my we shouldn't have we shouldn't have animals in these apartments, but there's an exception. One of the residents has got a disease and has a care dog for comfort, and it's a sausage dog. Is it Dachshund or Dachshund? Is that how you say it? One of them, and it's
Cool.
super. Go on.
Super cute and cool. The girls will love
Super
that, won't they?
cute. Oh, it's adorable. So we're babysitting this dog at the same time. I think it's 5 o'clock. It's coming around. So yeah, we're doing dog stuff. But you want to do book from 5? Is that what you're saying, or after 5?
Well, after 5, I've got to walk next to. They said their neighbours have gone away, so we're walking their dog at 5, and that's half an hour. It's only a quick bus around the park. But I'm free now, and I'm free after, so that'll be what 5 onwards.
Okay. How long are you free for an hour now?
Yeah.
Perfect. With that, another huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G Plus panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.